expected.
Good to see you back, Agent.
It's gonna be loud. Oh, wasn't that bad. You know, I didn't really think this through, so you know what? Why not? Oh shoot. Don't care. Ah, my eyeballs. I'm blind now, brother. I may have done myself a big oops. You know what? If I'm gonna die enjoying myself. Just one last chance. Just one last try. I don't know what to do. Ah! Put it out. Oh. Puff! Puff! You know what, Bond? You're a great guy. But you know what? You're not the greatest guy I've ever met. You know what I'm saying? No, 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 no. Oh God, the money. Oh God, all of the money. Oh! Put it out! Put it out! Oh. Hello. I'm John Wick. Name's Wick. John Wick. I didn't expect that to happen. Ah, my eyes. Oh.
This is a commentary bubble. The button you just pressed toggles them on and off. They are now on in all of the puzzles, as well as this room. I Expect You to Die currently supports many control schemes, and while that broadens the potential player base, it also comes with significant challenges. The tools behind our tutorial system are quite robust, so that we could create different slide orderings and focus on different aspects for each control scheme. Try the different controllers and you'll see what I mean. For texture memory and draw call reasons, there are only 4 unique book covers in the office, but you can be sure that all are standard issue for EOD agents. The I Expect You to Die you are playing now is the end result of many, many iterations. This villainous librarian was the antagonist in one of those iterations. And speaking of iterations, we completed many of them with the help from our playtesters. Early in development, we'd have coworkers try prototypes, or even cardboard mock-ups of puzzles. Then we would bring naive players into our offices to playtest the game in white box form. That is, most of the art would be untextured, simple forms, mostly cubes. Then later we'd continue almost daily in-house testing, as well as sending the game out to third-party testing facilities. Among other more targeted questions, we'd always ask these 5. What was your favorite or best moment or interaction? What was your least favorite or most frustrating moment? Was there anything you wanted to do but the game didn't support? If you could wave a magic wand and add, remove, or change anything, what would it be? And when did you feel most clever? By tracking these answers, we could focus in on how to make our game as great as possible. You have to be careful when you're conducting playtests in VR to make sure that your guests aren't too immersed. We've had a half dozen or so people fall right out of their chairs they're reaching for things. That's why we put a nice soft rug underneath our playtesting chair to protect both the hardware and people's knees. Another thing we wanted to keep in mind was close interactions versus far interactions. Sometimes far interactions can set up a grand scale of things, but really it's the close interactions that work the best in VR. Freezing things and being able to look all around them is really cool. Being up close and personal is more fun in VR. I Expect You to Die currently supports many control schemes. We went through many names for what we now call souvenirs. They were additional objectives, they were spy achievements, mementos. No matter what their name, they're fun to play with. Enjoy collecting them all. One thing that we kept in mind as we were designing puzzles was, can items be used for more than one purpose? For instance, the bottle is fun to play around with. You can pop the cork, release the champagne, have a little moment of celebration, but you can also break the bottle and use the shards of glass to cut the wires on the bomb. Is it the multi-tool or the unitasker? Whenever possible, we'd go for the multi-tool. Puzzles was, can items be used for more than one purpose? For instance, the bottle is fun to play around with. You can pop the cork, release the champagne, have a little moment of celebration, but you can also break the bottle and use the shards of glass to cut the wires on the bomb. Is it the multi-tool or the unitasker? Whenever possible, we go for the multi-tool.
Has a cargo plane scheduled to depart for Zanzibar this very evening. We need you to infiltrate the plane before it...
Well, that's very epic. Let's do this, gamer.
For location, we wanted something that was familiar and had good affordances. That is, things around you would lend themselves to natural interactions you could immediately grasp and understand. If those affordances were varied, pulling, turning, pushing, opening, all the better. A car interior lent itself to that, as well as the seated experience we were after.
And you may just earn that vacation you're always going on about.
Intruder detected. Present eye for retina scan. Scan failed. Targeting. Laser avoided. Deploying secondary countermeasures.
Oh, the old ticking bomb. I'm partial to... No ticking is good ticking, as they say. Now, can we please focus on getting the car out of the plane?
Originally, this car puzzle was going to be the third puzzle in the game, with two before it also taking place on the plane. The gas was going to be released into the cargo hold during the second puzzle, explaining its presence during the third puzzle. Now it's just part of the dangerous environment that you start in.
So we were presented with this idea of a button that releases a pile of scorpions. Bonnie and I thought it was hilarious and had a fun time trying to figure out what we could record. We started with some plastic tongs from the studio's kitchen for the claws. We also had a whole bunch of plastic straws that we had cut up into small pieces for another recording session. So I grabbed a handful of those and started bouncing them around in my palms. The result sounded like a bunch of little crunchy bug feet skittering around, so we recorded Bonnie clacking the tongs like castanets while I bounced these little straw pieces around in my palms. We must have looked ridiculous. But mix in a little hissing sound and you've got yourself a pile of scorpions.
Weapons offline. Next message.
Zor.
Next message.
Hi, Dr. Zor.
Weapons offline. Weapons offline. Weapons offline.
In I Expect You to Die, we use a surface-based collision audio system. The game uses 4 different types of surfaces, which are hard, soft, glass, and metal. Every object that can be picked up has a normal hitting sound and a heavy hitting sound for each of these surface types. When an object collides with the world, we first determine the type of surface it collided with, and then we use the collision velocity to blend the normal hitting sound and the heavy hitting sound for that surface type.
The original phone messages were all submitted by fans and a few Shell folks via a voice mailbox at Shell Games advertised on our blog. The distortion you hear is real. Anthony Daniels' lines as Daniel Sands were added after the creation of the other 3 puzzles to foreshadow Puzzle 2.
Next message.
We may have an issue with Operation Toxic Rain. I'll keep you posted.
Next message.
Yes, Dr. Zor. So glad to finally have reached you. You owe the Carnegie Library some $1 million for a book you haven't returned since 1952. It is a copy of the Confederacy of Dunces, and we would very much like it.
For location, we wanted something that was familiar and had good afford. When we first started this project, it was a series of interface prototypes to see what would feel good in VR. We wanted a mostly sitting experience to help eliminate motion sickness, and we wanted an input scheme that everyone would have access to, but that wouldn't break your presence in VR. The mouse interface Jason and Matt worked on had telekinesis, which felt pretty good, but there was one problem. We wanted you to feel cool and be awesome, but who can be awesome while effectively being tied to a chair? But wait, spies get into situations like this all the time, and they always manage to turn the tables. What if we could make an Escape the Room game themed around that idea?
A bit unconventional, but then again, convention never was your strong suit. You'd better drive the car off the plane before something else explodes.
After blowing the back door open, try creating a net of hovered money outside the window. That way you can catch all the items flying out of the back of the plane. Though they are non-interactive items. Sorry, performance reasons.
Parachutes deployed.
Another successful mission. Now,
I just, my side started hurting. I don't know
we
why.
finished dissecting Zor's car, and only 2 techniques.
This was the first puzzle we physically prototyped with cardboard boxes, or as we have come to lovingly refer to it as, brown boxes.
Primary functions. This is an emergency. Please start engine manually.
For one brief, beautiful afternoon, an epic attack and battle with a giant squid was floated as a climax to this puzzle, before budgetary sanity reeled us back in. Perhaps in a future installment? But only if you go and post in the comments that you want more squid battles.
A crucial aspect of any great
This was the first puzzle we
A crucial aspect of any great VR experience is hitting that 90 frames per second. On I Expect You to Die, one of our project goals from the get-go has been to hit that target frame rate. We have taken several steps to achieve this, one of which was to use baked lighting for all static objects in the level and use 1 or 2 directional lights for the dynamic objects. However, in the deep dive level, we wanted to increase the tension during the self-destruct sequence by flashing a red light. Since turning on and off a real-time red light with dynamic shadows was not viable for us, we tried something different. We created 2 additional light bakes for the level, one using red light sources and another using dark light sources. Then, during the self-destruct sequence, we switched between the red and the dark bake lighting based on an interval to fake the effect of a flashing red light.
Escape pod drained.
For one brief, beautiful afternoon, an epic at the drawer of grenades was originally suggested by Brad, perhaps on a whim, but it cracked me up every time a player would open it and immediately react by slamming it back shut, as if to say, no way I want anything to do with that drawer of grenades. I added money and a second flare gun later, because tempting me to grab money out of a drawer full of grenades is funny, and John really wanted the dual-wield flare guns at the end of the level. While brainstorming for puzzles, we had a lot of ideas, one of which was a bathroom at a spy party. It would house the secret entrance to something, and you'd be thwarting its security in hilarious ways. But then we realized bathrooms have mirrors, which we were avoiding. Did you ever notice the car doesn't have rear view or side view mirrors? Bathrooms also usually have lots of water and cloth towels, both costly to performance. Oh well, no spy bathroom for you. For one brief, beautiful afternoon, the drawer of grenades.
Oh, hello. Oh, hi. Actually, this is Naomi Kyle. Hey. Hope you're enjoying this submarine experience. I am, of course, the voice of the submarine AI that you hear in your head. Hopefully that means that you're completely sane and enjoying this game thoroughly. I Expect You to Die was actually a game that I demoed a while ago and was very, very interested in playing a character in. So I reached out to Shell Games, who made this amazing game that you are currently in, and I hope that you guys enjoy it because I had a really great time voicing this character for you. So hope you don't die. Bye.
Engine running. Wasn't that easy?
For one brief, beautiful afternoon, an epic attack and battle with a giant squid was floated as a climax to the puzzle. For budgetary sanity reeled us back. Perhaps in a future installment, but only if you go and post in the comments that you want more squid battles.
All secure. Would you like to vent oxygen? Venting oxygen. Warning! Engine overheating. Self-destruct in 90 seconds. Enter override code to abort.
cute if odd. 7. 2. 5. 3. 8.
Self-destruct aborted.
Our communications are back online, Agent. Signal us to let us know your location.
Please gather all your belongings, open the hatch above you, and signal your rescuers. Have a nice day.
Isles of the Caribbean. We're approaching your position now.
I hope you had a great... my neck. Ah.
The coordinates you transmit...
Whoa, free money.
Oh, the sandwich. Since we had set aside some time for Foley recording, lots of test tubes, beakers, coffee thermoses, and things to tap and hit against metal and glass, I decided to do realistic Foley for what it was like to throw a sandwich. Turns out, not as interesting as you would hope, but very messy. I took 2 slices of bread and secured them together with a toothpick in an attempt to minimize mess, and threw that thing against all surfaces imaginable. The result from everything? Very light tapping sounds and lots of crumbs everywhere. The final sandwich you hear in-game is doctored up in post to be more interesting, because, sadly, real sandwiches are not as fun as you'd think.
The final Operation Squeaky Clean combines science-based puzzles with some light security evasion, but original versions of this level leaned much more intensely into the security side of things. I'm pretty sure we could make an entirely new level based on some of the stuff we tried and cut, like hiding from security cameras and eavesdropping on conversations in adjacent rooms. Maybe we still will. If we do, pretend you didn't listen to this. Here is a problem we struggled with for a while. Before the window is broken, you want to be further away from the building so that interactions with the window feel good. After the window is broken, however, you want to be as close to the building as possible so that you can interact with what is inside easily. In a game where moving the player is one of the quickest ways to kick them out of the experience, this presented a huge problem. We tried several things, teleporting the player forward on window break, which players didn't notice but felt like a bug in footage, moving them forward super slowly over the course of 5 minutes, which most didn't notice but those who did freaked out, and the idea that this level could be a standing level, where the player could physically step forward and back. We even tried turning the window washing platform into a cherry picker that the players could move forward and backwards at will, which was interesting. Nauseating, but interesting. So how did we solve it, in the end? Well, we didn't. We made it go away. David and Chris sidestepped the problem entirely by angling the window away from you, so the player could be right up against the building without feeling pressed against the glass. It's a little architecturally weird, but never let realistic architecture get in the way of good gameplay design.
ID accepted. Security disabled.
The idea of a paper airplane was something we wanted for a long time, but never got around to making it for the game.
However,
then, the Saturday after GDC, I grabbed some of my friends in the game industry, and we sat down and had a paper airplane jam. It took us about 4 hours, but it worked out well, and we got it in the game.
That's a fine airplane, Agent. But don't forget to save the world.
When the table was big, it would obstruct huge chunks of the player's view when they brought it near, or cause them to knock things off the platform. Smaller was better, but when we made it small...
By the time that chemical's frozen, we'll be long gone. Agent, you've been spotted. Quick, act naturally. They ran off. I always knew you were intimidating. It's your stoic silence.
Thanks, brother. Purple, yellow, red. Purple... Not yet. GI. AR. Y.
Neutralization attempt blocked. Playing pre-recorded message.
Found a conscience despite our threats. Well, I'm afraid you won't have a chance to use your antivirus. We're changing the timetable and launching the supervirus today.
The addition of this launch sequence actually came fairly late in the development of this level, emerging from a full pod brainstorm that focused on addressing the things we felt were not quite correct. We'd previously tried several climactic encounters that took place entirely inside the lab, many of which were more about retrieving a sample of the virus, but these lacked dramatic punch. We were also dissatisfied with the fact that the outside of the lab was visually cool, but hardly anything happened out there. By bringing the virus itself outside for the final act, we created a dramatic reveal and solved all the problems at once.
Well done, Agent. There will be no outbreak today. Let's get you out of there.
I love this game. Well, I don't... I mean, I like it, you know. I don't love it, you know. That's weird. What would you do for a Klondike bar? I'm gonna get freaking like...
While not discreet, you did get the job done.
Oh, hello.
Though, I suppose discretion went out the window with Zords.
One of the problems we had to solve on I Expect You to Die was objects getting hidden behind other objects in a level. Players would constantly lose objects behind desks and chairs while solving the puzzle. Using physics raycast against every object in the scene to determine if the player can see it wasn't a viable solution due to performance concerns. Instead, we came up with an approximation called hidden volumes.
Ninja
hidden volume
vanish.
is a trigger volume that does two things when an object falls into it. First, it applies a special extra shader to the object so that it can be seen through other objects.
Went Yahweh Tihana. Yahweh Tihana.
Bear Archer was one of the first phrases. Bear Archer was one of the first phrases that stuck with me from the beginning of development on this level. It seemed that no matter what happened in design, we would end up with the bear as a key character in the scene that you interact with. There was also some discussion at one point of making the bear speak to you, where his mouth would open, and that is where the voice would come from that you hear, instead of the computer system on the desk. But that was thrown out early on. I'm glad at the end he is still as entertaining as he can be, and quite scary if you don't know how to survive bomb arrows.
Early on, we had your friend, the support agent, being captured and held beneath the trapdoor in this room. You could throw him items, and if he didn't need them to escape, he'd throw them back, out of the hole. It was fun because throwing something in a hole and having a person off-screen throw it back to you was surprising, and the randomness felt pretty good. However, it was also frustrating and narrowed the player's focus, so they tended to get stuck. Rather than caring about their own goals, they only cared about what the person in the hole needed next. Ultimately, we went with the mix of parallel and serial tasks we have now. This level once had a nuclear missile in a silo outside, instead of a gravity machine. Through a long series of events, we moved the missile itself to Operation Squeaky Clean, and went with no gravity here, because it allowed the machine to be closer, and frankly, no gravity in VR is pretty rad. One other aspect that we found really fun was wearables. For instance, we see a lot of people have fun putting the cigar in their mouth, lighting it, and moving their head around. Of course, the hat as well. Surprisingly, many people's first action is to grab the hat off the rack and put it on. They end up wearing it the whole level. Even if they die, the next time they start, they'll put it back on their head. Are you one of those people?
No. How do they know?
Seems an odd book to have lying around.
The lady. Okay. 383, if I remember correctly. 3, 8, 3. No? What's the number on here then? 389. 3, 8, 6. Oh!
Control cartridge accepted. Voice authentication required.
Ha!
Authentication failure. Deploying Bear Archer.
Bear Archer was one of the first phrases that stuck with me from the beginning of development on this level. It seemed that no matter what happened in design, we would end up with the bear as a key character in the scene that you interact with.
Security malfunction.
There was also some discussion at one point of making the bear speak to you, where his mouth would open, and that is where the voice would come from that you hear, instead of the computer system on the desk. But that was thrown out early on. I'm glad at the end he is still as entertaining as he can be, and quite scary if you don't know how to survive bomb arrows.
It's just as we feared. Zor's new device appears to have the power to affect gravity. You must destroy that machine.
How do I open you? No?
Crystal unstable. Machine malfunction. Laser defense mode 1.
Zor certainly knows you're there now. We're sending a helicopter to extract you. That machine must be destroyed before it arrives.
Crystal unstable. Laser defense mode 2.
Your helicopter's arrived, but it can't get close until you destroy that machine.
Oh my god.
The white box phase for this level saw us reorganizing a core set of features for weeks, and this placement juggling went on even into this phase when final art was being implemented. We knew we wanted to include scenery, like floor-to-ceiling windows and fireplace and skylight, but layouts that look great in white box can feel terrible in VR. During rapid whiteboxing, we normally test out the scenes with low-fidelity baked lighting. The downside with this is that it's very hard to get a feel for what the scene will actually look like. To solve this, we started whiteboxing with real-time lights and a deferred rendering pipeline.
No!
That on
Dang it! I thought I had a solid thing, dude. Like, I thought I had a solid plan, dude.
The white box phase for this level saw us reorganizing a core set of features for weeks, and this placement juggling went on even into the phase when final art was being implemented. We knew we wanted to include scenery, like floor-to-ceiling windows and fireplace and skylight, but layouts that look great in white box can feel terrible in VR. During rapid whiteboxing, we normally test out the scenes with low-fidelity baked lighting. The downside with this is that it's very hard to get a feel for what the scene will actually look like. To solve this, we started whiteboxing with real-time lights and a deferred rendering pipeline, testing that out in VR. When we were satisfied with the results, we folded back into forward rendering with baked lights. I'm sure our tech artist got goosebumps somewhere with me using VR and deferred rendering in the same sentence.
Door alarm triggered. Deer gas activated. Control cartridge accepted. Voice authentication required. Authentication failure. Deploying Bear Archer.
Bear Archer was one of the first phrases that stuck with me from the beginning of development on this level. It seemed that no matter what happened in design, we would end up with the bear as a key character in the scene that you interact with. There was also some discussion at one point of making the bear speak to you, where his mouth would open, and that is where the voice would come from that you hear, instead of the computer system on the desk. But that was thrown out early on. I'm glad at the end he is still as entertaining as he can be, and quite scary if you don't know how to survive bomb arrows.
It's just as we feared. Zor's new device appears to have the power to
Crystal
affect
unstable.
gravity. You must destroy.
Machine malfunction. Laser defense mode 1.
Zor certainly knows you're there now. We're sending a helicopter to extract you. That machine must be destroyed before it arrives.
Crystal unstable. Laser defense mode 2.
Your helicopter's arrived, but it can't get close until you destroy that machine.
Crystal unstable.
Nicely done. There's nothing like an explosive finish to foil a villain's plans once and for all. Now, grab that retrieval.
Get to the chopper!
Get you out of there.
Get to the chopper!
really is a must-read in the evil industry.
Take my money!
It's a shame to see such a... I have good news, Agent. As everyone knows.
I want to go home. Well, I already am home, but you know, I'm gonna end it right here, boys. I'm gonna like pick it back up tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, peace out, boys.